The universe is saying today too that if you feel like nothing makes sense to you anymore, it's because you're transitioning into a version of yourself where what used to drive you, what used to give you a sense of meaning, what used to give you a sense of purpose has completely changed. So, what used to give you a sense of, what's normal is now completely gone. It's completely outdated. So, it's a very strange feeling we go through. And it gives us a sense of grief because we know we've lost something that was so deeply part of us. Like we've lost a sense of identity. And we didn't do it willingly. It just happened due to all these energies right now. So it's a very confusing time. And what is really happening, the real identity is awakening inside of you. And now you're partially already looking at the world from this new identity of yours that is not doing things for validation. It is not doing things to be valuable. It's not doing things to be seen or to be important. It's not doing things to be appreciated or respected. It's doing things because it radiates. It radiates. So that new identity of yours feels driven by what resonates, feels driven by what truly just vibrates. It's not driven by validation. It's not driven by being, a fixer. It's not driven by being helpful. It's not driven by being valuable. It's driven by resonance. So that's why you've been maybe filtering your life at this time. You've been maybe filtering people whom to follow. You've been filtering what to watch, what not to watch. You've been filtering what to have, what to sell. You've been maybe filtering people, like letting go of people, setting boundaries with certain people. And you've been completely shifting your life. So tomorrow we have a new moon. So what is today? Today is June 24th. On June 25th, we'll have a new moon in a sign of Cancer. And Cancer is this very sensitive, emotional sign that is, well, if we look at the patterns of the collective consciousness right now, it's a beautiful thing that this kind of astrological events happen specifically at the right time, because right now it's everything about taking care of your home. And not truly physically, but rather emotionally, your home, your body, or let's say how you feel in your body. Let's say this is your first home. I want to read something to you, and then I will take you into the energy update. The current stage of ascension feels less like expansion and more like refinement. It's not about reaching for something higher, it's about becoming more honest with yourself. Patterns are surfacing not to punish you, but to be seen clearly without judgment. There's a strong invitation to simplify, to stop chasing, and to finally trust the space between action. You might feel tired, unsure, even a bit raw, but that's the part of the recalibration. The energy now supports deeper integration, nervous system repair, and alignment that comes from rest rather than effort. If you're not seeing external breakthroughs, it doesn't mean you're stuck. It means the work is happening within at the level of frequency, clarity, and choice. You're being prepared to move forward from a place that's actually aligned, not just familiar. This phase isn't about speed, it's about precision, about being so rooted in your truth that you no longer rush into things just to feel progress. So if it feels slow, trust that. What's real takes time to stabilize. So this is something that so deeply resonates with me at where I am in my life. And this is a challenging time. It's a very intense time when it comes to energy. because people who are not aware of these things, like many of you are deeply aware, you're maybe watching content related to energy, and you've been in this spiritual journey for quite some time, in the journey of ascension and self-actualization. So you're very familiar about what we're talking here, and therefore you sense energy and you kind of know what to do. But then when we go into the world, we notice people are acting very strangely. People are very irritated. People are doing everything just to run away from their unconscious impulses that are usually, needs to be seen, needs to be saved, needs to be loved, needs to be respected, needs to be validated. And these things went completely out of control. So many people are very out of control right now. And if you've been noticing that in your life, well, protect yourself, protect your energy, because sometimes it can be quite annoying and exhausting dealing with that, especially if you are also going through something in your personal life. So you need to take care of your energy at this point and cleanse it. As I've written here, I said to you, it's not about reaching for something higher, it's about becoming more honest with yourself. It's right now really a time to be honest with yourself and to acknowledge how your identity is shifting. Doesn't matter if you wanted that or not, it's just a thing of this present evolution. So there's many outdated emotional survival mechanisms. That is the first thing I would mention for this new moon, that many of you are healing and letting go. Survival mechanisms. It could be maybe proving yourself, the need to prove yourself, the need to be seen, the need to be, needed, feeling needed, like choosing people with whom you feel needed, or doing something just to be respected or just to be seen and things like that. It all comes from survival mechanisms because maybe, well, when you were younger, it was never provided to you. So you developed mechanisms to get what you thought you needed. Well, today you're wise, my friend, and you're noticing that there's a part of you that doesn't seek these things anymore. And that part of you is called home. It's the real you. And more you can return to that part of you with whatever helps. Like, ask yourself, this is the greatest way to get into this state. Ask yourself, okay, if right now I would do something for no results, like for no feedback, just for me, just to feel alive or whatever, what would I do? So I don't do it to create some results. I don't do it to get something from others. I would just do it for me. What would that be? And give that to yourself and see how it makes you feel, and then sit with these feelings. And notice that all the time you've been there for others. All the time you've been of support for your family and your community and maybe your boss or your co-workers or whomever. All that time you've been putting that side of you somewhere into the corner. But now that side of you is ready for a completely new life, for a birth of that new you, that new identity. And therefore maybe the part of you that was always there for others needs to take a pause, needs to take a break. And we've been talking about that for a long time, but I'm noticing this is not it's not a method or a 1 month thing. It's just the product of this time. Like, either you embody yourself so you can actually radiate who you are onto others, or you can just keep trying to do things for others out of survival and burn yourself out. And the choice is always yours, but what I feel, the truth will always take you into what's the most right for this time. So it doesn't matter what you choose, eventually you will come to what's the most right for you, because that's the frequency. And your frequency will always call you back home, because that's what feels the most right and the most truthful for you. The second thing I want to mention for this new moon is that hyper independence or over responsibility is dissolving. So whatever it means for you. So what is hyper independence? Well, you think you can do everything alone. You think that you can master everything on your own, or you can just, win everything, accomplish everything alone. Just because maybe for your childhood you've been constantly listening that you're not capable of, or that you're not smart enough. That's the pattern I've noticed in me as well. So when we have it, we accomplish a lot. We truly accomplish a lot, but we come to the point where we recognize, okay, alone I can only come this far. So it happened to me this year that I randomly met two incredible people that became a part of our team, and they've started helping us with how we present art to the world. And right now we're building a lot of these leadership skills and communication in the team. So also I'm learning a lot about that, how to express my needs, because for such a long time I've been doing that alone. Like for the last 8 years I've been doing that alone. Maya was helping me, but she was always, she always did the work, what was related to our job, the way that how my vision was. And it was very natural to communicate that because, well, we know each other for such a long time. But when there are new people, you need to learn to really be precise in your speech, to really express what you mean. And I've noticed this is a great lesson for me to let go of this hyper independence and to really open up for help and support. And when you open up for help and support, you really need to know how to articulate exactly what you need. So you really learn to express yourself related to your needs and your vision, which is something that is to me at this point a very powerful lesson. And I'm wondering how many of you are learning these things as well right now, because this is the part of current energy. Then I've also mentioned over responsibility, which is also a pattern. Maybe you've been growing up in an environment, or however it was for you, that you were responsible for taking care of your family, or you've been the odd one, so you needed to take care of yourself at a very young age. You wanted to go your own way and walk this path of independence, and you've developed this sense of responsibility at a very young age. And now maybe you're at the point where you want to let go of some of responsibilities, to ease yourself up a little bit, to free yourself up. And it feels very strange because part of you is like, I don't allow myself to be free because I only feel good enough when I'm responsible for something, which is a program, right? It's a program to be good or to be respected once again, or to be seen as somebody just because you have many responsibilities, or to be more important. But actually your soul says you don't need to do anything to be important. You're already important because you're alive, and to life you are very important. So, well, if you truly want to feel important, feel alive, and you will notice how important it is to feel alive. And this is another great lesson that sounds good, but it's not so easy to experience. It just pulls us back to what makes us feel alive without the need to receive something. Well, interesting thing is that that's also what makes us the most magnetic, when we stop looking for when we will get something in return, right? This is a lesson of this time, and this new moon is shaking this foundation so much. So, we can reshape them. We can create a new foundation that is really built on being you and embodying your very unique energy. Then the third thing I want to mention for this new moon is family wounds and ancestral baggage is something you're letting go right now. Family wounds. So only you know what it is, but it's just very repetitive in the family. So if you're noticing that during these recent days you had maybe more touch with your family. Maybe just randomly you came together and it was very annoying, maybe, or something, old wounds were triggered. It's because right now you're being invited to let it go. And the easiest way to let go of something is to be reminded that you still have it, right? When you remind yourself that you still have certain triggers, which means you still have certain opinions, you still have certain expectations for these people or for who you think you should be, it's time to let it go and reframe the story. Maybe stop expecting from them to be something else than they are, so you can accept them as they are, but also set boundaries if at this point you don't feel like you are ready to be around them. Because maybe you are right now at the point of your life where it's healthier to remove yourself from all these maybe dark energies or whatever it is than to keep returning to them. Well, one thing about healing is that it's hard to heal if you're constantly exposed to it. Even though exposure therapy is very important when we go through healing, sometimes we need to make longer breaks from what is triggering us so we can see it from different perspectives. It's like, you know, when you cut yourself, you don't open that wound every single day to see if it's healing. You need to let it heal, and then eventually you become resilient. And with emotions, it's the same sometimes. You know, if a certain maybe person in your family is a great source of trigger, maybe remove yourself for a month or two and then return and notice how much you've changed. This may be a reminder for this new moon, as new moon is often seen as time. You know, nature is cyclical, and new moons represent the time when we start something new, when we begin a new chapter. And because it's just after the solstice, it's a very powerful, energetic time for cleansing. And also I mentioned ancestral baggage. So it's not just your family. You see, epigenetics says we carry in our DNA up to 16 generations of memories. So, well, if you feel like it's a tough ride right now, well, it's because it is. Like, so much of the past is coming out. And it's intense, it's emotionally intense. And sometimes you may think there's something wrong with you or you're doing it alone, but actually the whole world is going through so much right now. And society is just trying to make sense out of what is happening. While sometimes it's not the point to make sense out of it and let time do its job. So that's why I've reminded you, focus on aliveness. Focus on what maybe your ancestors couldn't afford to give to themselves. And I don't mean financially. I mean maybe with time. I mean maybe with care. I mean maybe with attention. Like maybe spend more time in nature. Maybe spend more time with loving people. Maybe spend more time in positive energy. Maybe spend more time in doing something that's nourishing to you, something that's caring to you. And prioritize it, because it can't happen if you don't prioritize it. Just one idea, because that's also something I'm focusing on more and more. The fourth thing I wanted to mention for this new moon is that illusions of safety are falling apart. Illusions of safety, because they've been blocking your growth. So one illusion of safety could be you need a certain amount of money to feel safe. Another illusion of safety can be you need a partner to not be alone or to be loved. Another illusion of safety could be that you always need to be protected in this way so you are safe or whatever it is. So not that you should just let go of all of that, but you should question if somewhere you're maybe overreacting, if somewhere you need to trust more. Because, well, sometimes we challenge ourselves just so we learn to trust. Like sometimes we start new risky projects or new business endeavors, or we go into new, whatever, events or things or projects, just so we learn lessons on trust and what happens if we don't trust and what happens if we are too naive. And then sometimes out of fear we form a limiting story that then limits us. We don't see it as a lesson to be more empowered, we see it as a mistake that we've done. So rather than looking at your life right now through the lens of how many mistakes you've made, see it through the lens of how much you've learned and how much more you could trust if you would listen to yourself even more. Because every time if you look back at the times when you would think you've done a mistake or you've done something wrong, there was also an intuitive feeling that you've ignored. And if you notice that there was always some kind of a sense that told you the truth, and you've ignored it and you see what happened, then you can know, okay, if I listen to that feeling more maybe consciously, and I trust it, then my life will be more aligned. So that's when you notice, okay, maybe I don't need to seek this kind of false security. Maybe I already have divine security inside of me, and it's called intuitive guidance. And more you trust it, more it will show you a way. That's your inner compass. And this is the lesson right now. So one way that you know you're going through this kind of cleansing of illusion of safety is that you've started losing what brought you a sense of feeling safe. Some people started losing money. Some people started losing people, just started falling out of their lives. Some people started losing things like clients or things that made them feel safe. Not because the world or life is punishing you, but because life is teaching you that on the other side of this illusion, there's empowered you that is actually magnetic for everything that will make your life even more incredible. And you're blocking these opportunities because you're holding on to this false illusion of feeling safe. You really feel safe when you feel whole, right? Because wholeness is not fearful state to be in, it's abundant, loving state to be in. And the question is only how to feel whole. And one way is to ask yourself what feels like home, not what feels safe. Not what feels safe, my friend, what feels like home. Because what feels like home feels loving, it feels abundant, it feels infinite. And whatever practice can help you to get into that state, practice it daily. It may be just, placing your hand onto your heart and breathing into your heart. It may be letting go of something that felt scary or rigid. It may be, going into the nature, swimming in the ocean. Whatever gives you that sense, do it more frequently. And the fifth thing I wanted to mention for this new moon is emotional clutter from the past 12 months. So maybe you've been noticing that in the last 12 months so much has changed. And because of all these changes, you've developed, again, opinions and ideas of what's wrong with you. It only happened because I did that mistake. It only happened because I did it wrongly. It only happened because I'm a bad person. It only happened because I'm a bad parent or a bad friend or whatever. But you did the best you knew. And also, times were not easy. Energies were quite intense. And sometimes you did things out of impulses because you wanted a change. Because, what you're doing or people around you mean a lot to you. So is that a bad thing? No, it means you are human that wants the best for you and for others, most probably. But because of that, sometimes we do something that's not the most appropriate. Like, Alan Watts said, road to hell is paved with good intentions. So sometimes we have good intentions, but it leads us to destructive action. And it's all a lesson. It's all a lesson so we can nag the patterns. Okay, I want that and I did that and that's what happened. There was some chaos or whatever. Not to punish you once again, but to notice because of all of that, you've accumulated some anger, you've accumulated some shame, you've accumulated some worry, some sadness, and these things are now walking with you in your backpack. That's why just my latest painting is called, Between the Worlds. I don't know if, you can see it here. It's a painting where there's a guy that is surfing on the book of knowledge and is letting go of the backpack of old stuff. And it's a reminder that we need to let go. We need to let go, and it's very not logical saying when we say we need to let go, because when you feel sadness, you can't just let go of it. You can't say, I let go of this, and then it disappears. You kind of need to sit with it and notice what story it plays, and then recognize that this story is not truthful, and then keep returning to it over and over and over and over again until it gets released. But at the same time, you also replace, sadness will make you focus on things that make you sad. You also replace your attention to something that makes your life more meaningful. Once again, return to something that is more aligned with you right now. So you don't just, stay focused on something from the past, something dark. You focus on something that's meaningful to you at this point. And you notice how that past actually made this path of yours more meaningful. To see how everything you've learned could be used to make this path even more special. And this is a journey to recognize that. Like, I use art to put in everything I've learned on my path, and I use my videos to share what I've learned, and therefore all my painful lessons could be used as some kind of inspiring guidance. And I've noticed that that is very healing, and I would recommend to anyone watching this to notice what could be your way to use your past as some kind of a fuel for you to be more you in this world, and kind of start looking at everything as a source of inspiration for your life rather than a mistake that you did. And to some of you it may sound very strange, like, I can't do it at my job, or I can't do it at my family, or people don't understand it. So it doesn't need to be big, but maybe find a hobby, find something that will help you to channel these emotions into something productive. You know how many times I've received these emails and messages that say, after 15 years I've started painting, or after 15 or 10 years I've started doing this sport again, I've started dancing again, or playing a piano, and I've just forgotten how good it feels. I've just forgotten how it truly feels like me. I just feel like a kid again, and I've missed that feeling so much. So that's what I wanted to remind you with today's video. So I hope you found a great value in today's message. I hope it can be relatable, and I'm sending you lots of love, blessings, and power. Well, to anyone who would like to support my art, you can go into AttractPassion.com and you will find my paintings there. You will find prints of my art that's more affordable. And if any painting resonates with you, well, you can buy it, put it onto a wall somewhere where you will see it, and it will remind you of what truly matters. Go and check it out, and see you in the next one. One love.